Your album is officially out from now on. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling relieved to be honest with you. We've had it so long. It's been so like long in the making, and it's gone through so many different iterations and versions that it's just felt like a real journey to kind of get the album out. It's like Happiness, the first record, we kind of just had the songs. We were in the studio for 12 days and that was it. It was done. And then it went off for mixing and mastering. And it was like, I just thought that's how albums went. But then, but then this album was like, well, at first we didn't even know if it was going to be an album. So it was going to be like a 4 track EP. And we went in and started demoing that in the studio. And then we were like, let's do 7 tracks. So then we did 7 tracks, and then it became a 10 track album, and then yeah, it's just been this like process of like creating this album, and then even so, it was last December we handed in what we thought was the finished record to actually it could have even been no, it was last December. Anyway, we handed in the record to the label, and it was like 10 tracks long, and we were like, "This is the album." And but the label also have like they have access to a folder of ours which is called demos. Well,
Oh,
actually, no, the label don't have access to it. It's management that have access to it,
did they
and
sneak in? Like, no, there's more.
yeah, basically is what happened. So we handed the album in, and they were like, "We like this," but um, Ben Ray was like, he's the director of Slam Dunk,
Hmm.
and he just called me in his office one day, and I was like, "Oh God, what's this?" Um, and he was like, "I was in the gym this morning, and I was listening through your demo folder whilst I was running on the treadmill." He was like, "What? Can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was like, "Why the fuck are you saving some of these songs for album three?" Like, he was like, "You need to get back in the studio and record another four." So then we ended up having to go back in and doing more. So yeah, very long-winded answer, but essentially, like, I feel like we've been climbing a mountain to get this album out, and I didn't realize the sense of relief I'd feel once it was kind of out there. But now I have a new feeling of like, um, kind of, I'm nervous about how it's going to be received, about whether people are going to dig it or not, essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's really been a long-winded process because your last album came out, what, 2022? So
Yeah,
it's been a little while, and you've had like drips and drabs of singles throughout then. You went in with like a mindset of this is going to be, these are the songs, here you go. Oh, there's more.
yeah. I think as well, it's kind of because when we signed the record deal the first time, we signed on a one album deal, and we were essentially out of contract when when we started writing the second album, and nothing had been put. There had been no pen to paper, and we hadn't been reapproached at that point. So there was some sort of, there was almost like a gray area of like, are we even going to get to do a second album? So there was never like that locked in moment at the beginning where it was like, this is what we're going to create. So that's why I think it went through so many stages and processes. We didn't actually like re-sign for album two until maybe a year after that. So like the start of 2024 or something. I can't remember my yeah, I think it was start of 2024. My
Okay.
times are all over the place, but yeah.
It's all a blur. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about like the writing process with this album, but it sounds chaotic.
Yeah, it has been. It has been chaotic. Yeah, the
Because
writing process.
theme-wise, it's a bit darker than
Yeah.
your previous album. So I was kind of wondering if you went in with that intention or the songs just kind of came out.
No, um I think for the most part the songs just came out, but I think that it just is a reflection of like the things that so me and Dan are the lyric writers, Dan one of the guitarists, and I think it was just kind of a reflection of um the shape of like our lives at those points, and some of the writing, like Reaper, for example, that song was written in 2022 when we were on tour with the Wonder Years. So like right after Happiness came out. So that's like an old song, and wrote the lyrics to that one like literally in the van. And so the the lyric writing, it wasn't like planned that we want to go darker or write about more dark themes. And I think like if you kind of dig deep on the the album Happiness, even though it's called Happiness, the that's kind of the point of the title, is that the songs are not happy at all. They're just kind of like framed in that um happy sound. And there's still a lot of that on From Now On, but there's also ones that are just like straight up sad songs. uh, but yeah, I think like so Dan sadly like lost two grandparents in the whilst we were going through the writing process, and he had a lot of like residual emotion that I think he wanted to get on out whilst we were writing the record. And um me and Dan have grown up together, so and we've had really similar kind of upbringings, I think. So we have this sort of bond that I can't like I've never had with someone else who we write with, where sometimes sometimes he will have an emotion that he wants to write about, but I'll end up writing the song and vice versa. So
Yeah.
like Seeds for the Roses, which is the after the intro, it's like the first big track on the record, and that's about the passing of his grandparents, but I wrote the song. It's
Yeah.
like we were just like, so it was kind of I don't want to say nice, but it was kind of like cathartic in a way, that because we got to share each other's like experience whilst we were writing, which was you know sometimes sometimes you can feel a certain way about something but struggle to put it into words. So having a second person who can be like, oh, I've wrote this part about this thing that you were feeling, like, what do you think, sort of thing, that was really cool. But yeah, there was no kind of rhyme or reason to the writing process. It was just what was going on, and what we were feeling at the times when we wrote them. And I think just Happiness was an album that we'd been writing for so long, because there was elements of songs that we'd used from years ago and things from previous bands, and it was just a piece of work that came out. Whereas this one was like it, it was started writing in 2022, finished writing in 2024. Those 2 years, like for everyone, has kind of been like, the world's not exactly the best version of itself at the moment, and we're post COVID and everything. And yeah, it was just a kind of raw reflection of what we were feeling at any given time when we were writing songs.
Nice. No, I love that. I love the way that you like connect and write those sorts of things as well, and how like you're so well bonded that you can write those lyrics for someone
Yeah.
else. That's really lovely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is nice. It's strange actually, because we're not like that we're not
Yeah.
like that with each other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. But when it comes to writing songs,
Yeah.
it's
If it
like,
works, it works.
yeah, thing there. Yeah. Musically though, we wrote this one very differently to the last one. Like the last one, because we wrote a lot of it in the pandemic, and we the only time that we could really do it was to kind of like be in the room together in the rehearsal room, and that's when we would do it. This time it was more that we would sort of write parts, send them to each other, and then we would bring ideas to the room and flesh them out a little bit, and then take a skeleton away and go and demo it with Grant at Grant's house, and then we would kind of build them bit by bit. And I think that's allowed the songs to be kind of more layered and intricate.
You released 4 singles prior to this as well.
Yeah, well, technically we released. seven because
Ah,
we released four singles since like in this the album cycle, but Gloom, Reaper, and Cowboy Milk were already out. We put those out last year because they were supposed to
ah,
be the singles for the 10-track album that we submitted.
right. Yep, I see.
uh, but then, when I said we were told to go and write another four,
Yeah.
that was When I'm Feeling Down Lately and Day of Ivor were three of those four. So,
Oh,
and they
okay.
all ended up being singles. So it was definitely the right thing to do. But um, yeah, and then Okinawa was the fourth one of those that we added onto the album.
Okay. What was the decision-making process in releasing the singles that you did for the album release?
Um, I think there was actually a lot of like internal sort of
This is strategy.
uh, no, I just mean like disagreeing, I guess, between the band members about which ones we should release. I think the key point that um was coming from the label and coming from JD and Ben, who manages, was that you have they really wanted us to put our sort of best foot forward in terms of uh, what's most likely to what's like the stereotypical standard singles kind of thing. And we were happy to do that. And some of us really wanted to do that, but some of us wanted to get like maybe one or two of the sort of emo deep cuts out there as well. But in the end, the process just kind of came down to what songs are sort of most likely to be well received and be, you know, be played on the radio and things like that. It was kind of like I almost should have saying it, but it was kind of just a strategic decision to do those songs because, and I think Old Rotten Teeth was kind of the what's the word? It was kind of the compromise
Hmm.
because Old Rotten Teeth thematically and lyrically is probably a little bit heavy for things like radio play and stuff like that. Even though it did get some, um, like the first line of the chorus is "I wish I was stoned in your room." So it's like,
Very
uh, you know,
radio safe.
yeah. So, but melodically, the song is still it's got that sort of like earworm, catchy, hooky thing to it. So, because me and Jordan, especially Jordan, we both really wanted to release the track From Now On as an
Mhm.
actual single but it's not very radio friendly. It's kind of like it's not that the lyrics aren't. It's more that the song is just kind of it's like it's more of a emo tune and it doesn't follow the sort of verse chorus structure and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I get you. It's kind of going against the pattern of
yeah,
singles
and
that you.
I do understand it. It's like we wanted to we're a very small band compared to a lot, and the point of it is to try and grow our reach and gain fans, which we have done. So you know, I,
It's working. I think one
all
of
my
the
decisions are the wrong decisions.
no, I think one of my favorite things about your band is that you do have variety. Like it's not just like a pop punk song. It's not
Yeah,
just sad emo, that there is variety and there's variety in like tempos as well, which I really love. So all round,
yeah,
it's a good album.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and I think I guess that's kind of we wanted to showcase some of that within the singles, but I
Mm,
think kind of the four singles are all very similar songs in
yeah,
terms of uh, sound and feel. So, like, I hope that people, I'm glad that people now get a chance to listen to the album and hear the chops that we have in other areas, essentially, like the
yeah,
ones, yeah, the ones that are not just the radio tunes.
yes. If no one's heard of you before, what song would you give them from that album to be like, this kind of represents a good introduction to us?
That's a good question. I think that there's two answers
Hmm.
depending on what type of person it is. So
Sure.
if I was the if I was trying to give a version of me the record, because I like I prefer those kind of songs where you pick apart the lyrics and or where it has like an interesting section that's a little bit different to something else. And I'm a proper like album person as well. I like listening to an album front to back and like
Mhm.
hearing that discovery. So I think for me, for someone like me, I would say From Now On, the song, because it's kind of like the whole album kind of crescendos to that point, and it's like that's the big like thing. And I also just really love the chorus melody. I think it's really like folky melody in the chorus. But I think for like sort of the I don't know how do I say it now. I'm not saying like the layman, but like just someone who like is sort of generically into the type of music that we create.
Mhm.
I think probably When I'm Feeling Down is the most accessible tune that we've ever written. I think that it it's still got our lyrical style, but it's all written around a melody that um is kind of almost annoyingly catchy, if I'm honest.
Too good.
Yeah, and Dan wrote that one. He's just I don't know where that melody came from. He literally just said he was just laid in bed one night and it was in his head and he had to get up and go and voice note it.
I love that. What a process.
Yeah,
I'm going to move slightly to live sets.
yeah,
So, you've toured quite a lot. You played Slam Dunk last year. You were
yeah.
great. I saw you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
and you had like an As It Is collaboration beginning of this year
Yeah,
with
yeah, we did. Yeah,
us.
we did that. I sang on "Drowning Deep in Doubt," which was cool, and we did it live at Slam Dunk this year as well.
No, it was really, really, really good. So it's been a little while since you've played like any of your just your headline sets.
Yeah, it's been
And
about a
you're going
year.
on tour this month with Mouth Culture.
Yeah.
Have you kind of sorted out your set list already? Have you thought about how the new album is going to land?
Yeah, well, I think it's hard to know. We have sorted out the set list because we literally go on tour in like 2.5 weeks or
Yeah.
something. So,
Next
so
month.
we yeah, and to be honest, I wouldn't say it's fully there yet either. We've definitely got to get back in the room a few times. But we've been doing a lot of work, kind of. Obviously, we've not toured for a while. This year's been very quiet for us because we've just been concentrating on finishing the record and getting it out. Um, but we've done a lot of work on the live stuff. It's not that we're going to change the way that we play live per se, because we kind of we we're unique in that there's six of us in the band, so we've always had a kind of way that we play live. But we've bought ourselves an in-ear rig and we've changed in sort of um the the way that we can hear the set on stage. So we've been working on that a lot. Um, and we're really excited to get out and kind of try that, because for us, this mouth culture tour is going to be the first time that we're not just using live monitors and that we can actually hear ourselves properly and everything.
Okay.
And
That's scary.
it is scary, yeah. It's going to be a new thing, and but it has been really like it has been a blessing for me because I realized as soon as I got in-ear monitors, I realized how much I was overworking my voice because I was singing so loud that to make sure I could hear myself back out of the stage monitors, whereas I didn't need to be giving it as much as I was. So I think that like yeah, that's been a nice thing. But in terms of the set, like for the record, the album has just come out today, so I've got no idea how it's going to be received. But we've been playing songs from Happiness since 2021,
Yeah.
so we're just excited to play some of these new songs. It'll be the first time that any of them the only one of the new singles that we've played live was when we did a one-off show with Starting Line in the summer, and we did When I'm Feeling Down. But other than that, we've never played any of the new stuff live. So like the set is pretty heavily weighted in towards the new album. There's a couple of the happiness tunes on there, but yeah, it's going to be mostly. I guess it's almost like an experiment for us because we we want to know how these songs are going to be received live for the so that we can kind of use that to understand what to put in the set when it's time to do our headline tour. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Do you have a song that you're most looking forward to playing live?
Um yes, I would say there's one. Well, I'm looking forward to playing. I'm pretty much, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to playing all of the new songs live because we've never done it. But I think if I had to pick one that I like really want to play live, it's From Now On.
Mhm.
Um, but the end of that song, like I literally had to go into the studio on two separate days to track the end of that song
Really?
because it was so hard to sing because and I blew my voice out on the first day of doing it. So I'm a bit like
Okay, playing it live.
this is what I mean. Before we put that one in the set, I need to make sure that we've had a good few weeks
Mhm.
working on it live because just to figure out how to do it live and where the breathing goes and everything like that. Because um yeah, so I think from now on's the one I'm most excited to play live. But any of them, I'm just so ready to start playing them now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so when it's been such a build up and you've not played these songs live, it's nice. It's a
yeah,
moment. It's a moment, and
yeah, exactly.
I think it'll go down
I,
really well.
I hope so. That's one of my biggest apprehensions. Really, is just to see how they go down live and to see whether the people that are coming out to the shows are there to see the new stuff or whether they're just residual fans from Happiness that want to
Yeah.
see the Happiness stuff.
I also wanted to just talk to you about how like you kind of listen to other music and like what inspires you. So what kind of bands do you listen to on the daily?
Oh wow. Well,
Very big question for 8:30 in the morning, I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. Yeah. So, to be honest, um, like a lot of what I listen to is um like older e older emo music. Like I, one of my favorite albums of all time is Home by the Hotelier. That record was huge for me, and I'm one of these people that's guilty of like I get it in the neck from the band and JD, our manager, all the time because he always sends me new shit to listen to, but I always just cycle around the same fucking albums over and over again. Like I can't ever stop listening to Pine Grove. I just listen to Pine Grove on repeat. I listen to the Hotelier on repeat. And then I've got like playlists that I've made up of tunes from like when I was really young that I just play through, like You Taking Back Sundays, My Chemical Romance, all the classics, those sorts of ones, like the early days. So they're kind of like my go-to comfort music. But my favorite band of all time is Deftones, and I've been a fan of Deftones since I was like stupidly young, like primary school young.
How did you
And
get into Deftones in primary school?
so I had a friend in my class who had an older brother who was a teenager when we were like 10 years old, and but he was like a skater kid and we all wanted to be him, and he put us onto Deftones, and then we thought we were really cool because we listened to Deftones, and
Yeah,
it turns out we was in the end because Deftones are like super cool now again.
yeah.
Yeah, but I absolutely love Deftones, and I mean the band is called Beauty School because Beauty School is a Deftones song.
Of
Um,
course. I never made
yeah,
that link.
yeah, yeah. So Deftones is kind of like where I get my fill of music that I could never create because it's just not in my sort of range of like the way that he writes his melodies and the way that the band write their guitars and music. It's just not in on my radar. I wouldn't even know how they do it. But I guess one of the things that I find myself listening to a lot at the moment is and for a long time to be honest is Bon Iver um because like one of the things that whenever I'm writing songs and I'm writing vocal melodies, I rarely ever like I'm inspired to write sort of a the generic, I don't know, sorry, sort of the stereotypical kind of punk or emo melodies. They're not the ones that I draw the most inspiration from, and like that kind of folky melody, like Pine Grove and like Bon Iver, like they're the things that inspire me melodically. And almost every time, if you write sort of like a folky melody, they always work over like punk and emo music. Like they always work so well. So like, yeah, I'm not like people were like immediately recognize that, and I might never recognize it at all. But like basically everything that I've written on that album is just like stooped in um like folk inspiration. So yeah, kind of a broad thing, but that's what I listen to. I need to start listening to newer bands. I tend to discover my bands by being on tour with them. Like
Yeah,
Arm's Length are like one of my favorite bands at the
yeah,
moment. And that's because we toured with them and it was
yeah.
just like so
Our coach will
eclectic.
be next.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mouth culture will be next.
Love that.